What's up? Hey, hello everyone. Wow. So Alyssa and I are back going to be talking about Survivor Season 34 Game Changers, Episode 12. So my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and this episode is one of the classic Survivor episodes. I feel like every season of Survivor, we look forward to two things: the Survivor auction and the loved ones visit. And the Survivor auction has gone out of style recently, so all we have to look forward to is the loved ones visit. And sometimes we don't even get that. So
That is
I was
very true. What? Co-Wrong didn't have the loved ones visit, right? So
mhm.
this was Ty and Aubrey's first time at having a loved ones visit. And we'll just start with the family visit. I just think, like, in general, the loved ones visit is so emotional and very sad. I was tearing up while watching it. I'm very glad that everyone got a talking segment during this time, so it really got allowed the viewers to be able to see into every character on this season, because I feel like some characters aren't getting that much screen time.
Some people aren't, yeah. For me, the loved ones visit is a combination of happy, sad, and awkward. Just because I don't really like watching other people cry, and everyone cries at the loved ones visit. So then I get kind of awkward and upset, and I have to look away from my television screen, or in this case, my laptop screen. So that was fun. But I thought it was
Yeah, I think
interesting that we got to see a Survivor alumnus. I think it's alumna, stupid Latin. But we got to see Monica Culpepper coming for her husband Brad.
Yeah, I think honestly, like Brad and Monica would be such goals on the season. We see how Brad is talking about how it must have been so hard for Monica throughout the season, and then we actually see like it sort of come to fruition with Brad telling Monica I did not know how hard it was before. Like now I can fully understand like what you went through, and like I'm super proud of you. And honestly, like that must be so cathartic for Brad to have someone who has not only played the game but who has played twice and who has made it to day 39 to be able to like strategize on the reward that they ended up winning. So I feel like a Monica would be better than having someone like Cochran talk to you, aka at Debbie. But like I really like that whole dynamic that we really saw happening this time.
I think it's really good to have someone to talk strategy with you, with someone that you trust. Because I think with talking to Cochran, people he had played with before were still in the game at that point in time. And it's like, can you honestly trust him to give you his unbiased opinion when he might actually be rooting for Andrea or for someone else? And it's like, I feel like if you have someone that you love who also knows Survivor strategy, then they're going to give you strategic advice, but they're also going to give it to you in a way that you can trust, and
Yeah,
I feel like that wasn't taken into account when they were deciding who to vote out or whatever. I feel like it's one of those things where you go, oh, if Brad gets to the loved ones visit, Monica's going to come. And then we have to deal with Monica strategizing with Brad.
yeah, I feel like it was really interesting to see. I really liked the whole Brad Monica dynamic. Like honestly, goals going on Survivor. I was telling Alyssa how like it'd be super cute to be proposed on the loved ones visit, but that is besides the point. I don't like. I just think in general the loved ones visit. I learned a lot about the different players on this season. I did not know that Sarah had a kid. I did not know that Andrea had lost her sister during high school. Ty asked how the cats were doing. That was pretty funny. And then I think for Michaela, she had a good episode this time and last episode with the Zeke vote out. We saw her crying over Zeke being voted out. Michaela was a pretty good narrator this episode. She talks about how hard her mom works, and we got some of that last season with her and like Jay and Adam, but I really don't think that the whole mom story for Michaela the storyline has been able to be finished. So I think Michaela has like gotten a really good episode this week, and I think it'll go up from here.
I feel like the one thing with Michaela is like when she was throwing her fit after losing the reward challenge, I think you could tell that like her mom totally had a mom moment when she was like, Michaela, calm down. And I feel like that might hurt Michaela's chances if she's seen as like immature. And like obviously she's already seen as a very emotional person, but I feel like having her mom there telling her what to do, like, could make her seem more immature or whatever. So
Yeah, I don't know if Michaela can like win this season, but like maybe final three, and they're trying to make her more likable, so it's not like a blowout final three with Sarah winning. Sarah had a really good episode this week. Also, she is shown like on the ground crying when Jeff is like, "It's a loved one's visit, guys." So she is very, very emotional there. I think Sari had a good episode also with missing her son's graduation, and then she also mentions how she wants to win the game for her son, and I was like, that's such like a good like raw real moment to see how Sari is just like such a mom, such like a family person, and then to see like her son out there and like she missed his graduation, like that's so sad.
yeah, I feel like Sarah's winter edit is like real strong right now, and it was kind of disgusting in my opinion. But like, that was one of the moments in the loved ones visit that made me feel really awkward when she was like crying on the ground because I was like, please, I can't do emotions. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I felt like what was my like really cringy moment, how you're mentioning yours, was during the reward challenge. They made it like a group challenge, so it split 3-3-3, and I felt like I don't know, it just made me uncomfortable to watch this reward challenge because the stakes are so high with a loved one's visit. Like spending time with your loved one on the line, it just was so uncomfortable to watch because then everyone's willing to push themselves. Everyone wants like to push the other people on their team so that they're able to win. And it was just uncomfortable like seeing like Sari and Ty like not be able to stand up because the other people wanted to keep going so fast.
one thing that I always really liked was like when in the challenges the loved ones actually had to do something during the challenge, like they were actually a part of the challenge. Like I understand why that can be bad because like obviously your loved ones are coming to like see you, not to play a challenge in Survivor. But it's always really funny to see like how dynamics work when it's not just like, oh, I'm super happy to see you, like when you're frustrated with them or something like that. And I feel like that's something I've missed a lot in these past few seasons where the loved ones visit has just been like competing for your loved ones.
Yeah, I like it's interesting. Like you're saying, when the like the loved one and the castaway have to like compete with each other, because then you see people like Colby like freaking out at their loved one because like honestly you want it so badly, and then like you blow up at the person that came all the way out here for you. It's like an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I think it is. And like I said, I'd like to see it more. So,
Yeah, at
but
CBS. So they also had the under the log thing this season, and I'm like, this fucking ass log. I'm glad people went through backwards and didn't try the forwards method because we all know that that does not really work. So
yeah, the log thing is so sad because like I feel like the teams were so unbalanced because like getting Ty through is a lot easier than getting Brad fucking Culpepper through. Not that he's like fat, but he's just like a big guy. And so I thought it was really interesting how like during this reward challenge, I feel like it was pretty obvious early on who was gonna win. Like I watched after the episode aired and I was like texting Rachel and I was like, who's gonna win this reward challenge? And she was like, who do you think? And I was like, well, right now it looks like Andrea and her team. And she was like, yeah. So there wasn't really like, once someone pulled ahead in this challenge, they got real far ahead.
yeah, like the Brad, Andrea, Aubrey team definitely was like a little stacked because everyone else sort of like was a weaker team, I feel like. But Yeah, so those three win, and then they have to pick people to go on the reward challenge with them. And I don't know, this is an also like cringy, sort of like interesting thing that happened because usually it's only like one person gets to pick other people and like all the blame is on them. But now it's sort of like these three people have to come to one decision on who to like bring on the reward challenge, who gets to see their family members. And I think it's like such a hard decision to pick, and I think the group of three picked really well, like picking people who have children as like the people to go on the reward, because if you pick like your alliance or stuff like that, it definitely draws like huge lines in the sand.
I feel like the one thing with this is that like there's some reward challenges where you can be like, oh, okay, I didn't get to go like eat a really nice meal, but like it's different when it's like I didn't get to see my brother or my husband because of you. Like I feel like that is like the feelings get so much more hurt when it's like this personal, and like you kind of see that with Michaela, and like it was very easy for all of them to be like the brokenhearted club where they were like, oh, I'm so sad, and then make an alliance together.
Yeah, and it like must be such a bummer to like not win the challenge and not have to spend time with your loved one because they're all the way out there in freaking Fiji. Like that's just a really like good bonding moment for you and the loved one to be able to like go on this reward challenge, to have the time to talk and like catch up about life and everything. Like honestly, like missing out is just such a bummer, I feel like, for everyone that isn't able to go on the loved one's reward challenge.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like a free vacation for your loved one. But then we talked a little earlier about how Michaela was the one who was really like pissed off about not getting to see her mom. And then she starts this alliance with Ty. And I think it's really interesting because, like, of the two people, I feel like Ty is more of like the fan favorite. Like, more people seem to like Ty. So I thought it was interesting that they chose Michaela as like the narrator between those two. Like, it could have easily, I feel like, been Ty narrating the whole thing.
Yeah, like definitely. I feel like it was like throwback to when Sierra hated Michaela and then is all like trying to be buddy buddy now, which I guess goes to show like you can't really hate anyone on Survivor because you might need them in the future. Everyone is like, I'm down to vote Andrea. And even though Andrea did make it past this vote, I still feel like Andrea's time is limited in this game. I feel like either she goes in the next one or two votes or she'll win the game. I feel like there's no in between really with Andrea. Her name has been coming up on the chopping block for the past few weeks. And I feel like Michaela and Ty could probably do something really big to get Andrea booted off the island, maybe with those double idols.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Andrea is either gonna get ousted soon or she's gonna go all the way. And I'm leaning more towards like ousted soon because people like see Andrea as a threat to win. And I feel like a lot of the people like among Survivor circles, like people who know Survivor and watch it like for the strategy and not just casually, they're like, if anyone goes up against Andrea in the final three, then Andrea is probably going to be able to like spin a story to beat them. And I feel like one of the things that people might not be thinking about as much is like who can talk their way through a final three and stuff, because like it doesn't really matter, I feel like, how good of a game you've played if you can't like stroke people's egos and like play up yourself in the final three, because like that's your chance to sell yourself, and if you're not a good salesperson you can still fail.
Yeah, like I'm also really surprised. Like Andrea has been getting a lot of the heat from like the rest of the tribe. I feel like she's sort of like a Sierra Easton coming in with a big target on your back. Like everyone knows Andrea, like Sierra Easton, they like are very good at strategy. You know, maybe like a smaller female, I guess. But I am very intrigued as to Aubrey and Cerie's name has like not even come up this entire game so far, and I'm like honestly sort of concerned like what's going to happen to them, that they are, you know, like they have to go probably go out in like a big way. Something, the tide is going to change, something is going to come, because like you cannot let Cerie get to the end or else Cerie is winning the game, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like everyone it's weird because like everyone sees Sari as a threat, but like her name hasn't come up yet. And I feel like it might be one of those things where people are like, "Oh, we can just get her out later." And I think that's going to be interesting. But I also think there's a high probability that like Sari or Aubrey are going to be idled out, and that's why like they haven't really been talking as much in these past few episodes. Like Aubrey's pretty much not been very visible throughout the season, and I feel like there has to be a reason for that other than just like being voted out at like a bad time or whatever.
Sad. I really don't. I want Suri to not be the one that gets the purple edit and then's like idled out. Aubrey, I can see a lot of people do think that like Aubrey's gonna be idled out of the game somehow, and that's why her edit has not been the greatest. But I don't really follow like Edgic or whatever, so that is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm interested to see where this Ty Michaela thing goes. That would be like an interesting power couple because I feel like in like a final three situation, whoever Ty and Michaela bring to the end could probably win the game because I feel like Ty isn't really that well liked and Michaela isn't really that well liked on the season.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where I think we've talked before about like overexposure to certain Survivor players, and like they're both great characters on their first seasons, but like the second time around, they're just playing the exact same way they played before. I feel like, and I feel like the producers have kind of been trying to give them a story arc, but their story arc is mostly they tried to change the way they played before and they failed.
Yeah, so I don't see Ty or Michaela winning. I feel like whoever goes with them to a final three deal could probably beat Ty and Michaela, depending on like the next few episodes and like what Ty and Michaela are able to do as a duo. But I feel like they're just not liked well enough. I feel like people think Ty, like they might be like, yes, you are really good at the game, but like I don't know. He's just got that personality that people in Ponderosa in like the Ponderosa videos, they're talking like, oh, like Ty this, Ty that. He flipped, he flopped.
Yeah, I think they called him like Traitorous Ty or something like that. But if y'all haven't been watching the Ponderosa videos, you should definitely watch them because Sierra's was like fucking hilarious because like Debbie comes in and it's really funny. So watch Ponderosa because it's interesting and I think it's a good way to see the players as like people and not just as Survivor players. But anyways,
Yeah,
immunity
immunity
challenge.
challenge. Brad Culpepper wins. Yes, it's good for him. I feel like everyone is winning immunity right when they need to, so it's probably like the adrenaline, flight, fright or flight response. Like
Fight
you're
or
on.
flight, not
Yes,
fright or flight.
you're on the chopping block, so then you do whatever is in your willpower to win immunity. So it's good for Brad. We saw Andrea do it. So I really feel like the immunity challenge in combination with Sierra telling Sarah everything about the legacy advantage led to Sierra's downfall.
Yeah, and I feel like Sierra definitely like played a better game this season than she did on her first season. I'm still dubious about her being called a game changer. Like this immunity challenge, I feel like Jeff was like brand new immunity challenge, and I was like, but it's exactly like so many other immunity challenges where you just stand on a thing and balance. One of the things that I noticed was Jeff made a big deal about how it was like Brad's first immunity thing. And I feel like that kind of goes against like people's original assumptions that like the big buff guys always win individual immunity. Because like obviously you have people like Joe Anglim or Fabio or Kobe Donaldson where like yeah they win a ton of immunity challenges, but then you have people like Brad Culpepper who he didn't win his first individual immunity until day 30 of his second season. So
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about, actually, because
Stephen
you would.
Fishback has won more individual immunities than James Clement, and I feel like that's the like ultimate. That is how you can frame how being a big, strong guy doesn't necessarily mean winning more immunities.
That's very true. Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like Sierra, like you were saying, did definitely do a lot. Like I feel like she deserves to be on Game Changers, definitely now after the fact. I feel like a lot of people at the beginning, even Alyssa and I were like, why is she on this season? You know, stuff like that. But I feel like Sierra definitely went balls to the wall. She did not want to like go out without a fight. Like, so I definitely feel like people are giving her too much like hate now after, but I definitely feel like she did play a really good game and she should be proud of how she played. Definitely like the turning point would probably be when Debbie got voted out and they lost the majority. And I really, really hope like that it's not going to be a pagonging of like Brad and Troyzan in the next 2 weeks. But Sierra telling Sarah about the legacy advantage, she basically says, you know, it's an immunity idol that can be played at 6. And then she tells her that she can will it to someone when she's voted out. And I'm like, SMH, like, no. Alyssa and I talked about this last week. We were like, you tell her that's an immunity idol. You don't say you can pass it on when you're voted out.
Yeah, and I think it was really interesting because then Sarah, in telling people about Sierra's advantage, like she uses the like specific parts of it that are going to be beneficial to getting other people to vote Sierra out. Like she doesn't say it'll probably be will to me. She goes, it's an immunity idol basically that she has. And like I feel like that's a much better way of framing it, and it got people scared of Sierra, and that was what allowed Sarah to kind of get Sierra out, I feel like.
No, like 100% Sarah played this right. Sierra should have not have said anything about willing it to someone, just said the immunity idol aspect. And then Sarah knowing that it's the willing thing and then just didn't mention that because now Sarah sort of knows that Sierra is going to give her this thing when she's voted out. So Sarah's like, I want to get Sierra out. You know, I want this advantage. So Sarah does like an amazing thing this episode also, which also warrants to maybe, you know, that winner status Alyssa and I have been talking about these past few episodes. But Sarah basically wants to stay in the good graces of Sierra. So she goes over to Sierra, like, you know, like the vote is Andrea, you know, we're still good. I love you so much. And like that is the way to go. I feel like you buddy up to the person you're gonna vote out, and then she'll give you the advantage, and you tell everyone else that it's the advantage to get a target on that person's back. And I feel like this is like Survivor producers' dream of how the legacy advantage would work after the BOP last season with like the whole Ken thing. But I feel like this is what CBS wanted to happen.
Okay, it still pisses me off that like Sarah literally orchestrated Sierra being voted out, and she still gives her the legacy advantage. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I understand that like Sarah played it very well, getting Sierra to realize that like they were still in the same set, blah 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 blah. But it, like as a viewer, it was so frustrating because then like Sarah wasn't even in Sierra's alliance, which I don't really understand. Like, if you want one of your alliance members to win, like everyone thought she and Brad were like the big two that needed to be split up, why not give Brad your advantage?
I definitely feel like it's very interesting. This, like Sarah, obviously, I feel like she can make such good bonds with people because we see in this episode also, Andrea's like, Sarah's my number one, like out here, like not even on the like alliance level, but like friend level. Then we see Sierra also being like, you know, Sarah and I aren't even in an alliance, but we're still like my number one girl out here. So I really feel like it goes to show how good Sarah is at making relationships. And I definitely feel like Sarah can use that in the final tribal. Like, I voted Sierra out and she still gave me this legacy advantage.
I don't know. I feel like that's not something you want to bring up in the final tribal because that's like rubbing your victory in other people's faces. And I feel like that might be a little too overt of a like, look how great I am. So
Yeah, but I definitely feel like Sarah has a lot of things on her Survivor resume right now. Definitely that could warrant a win. Tribal Council, I don't know. I was very conflicted. I was like, Sierra and Andrea would both be good people to get off of the game. Sierra, obviously, she is very smart. She is or was powerful in the game. You know, I feel like Sierra could have could have had winning potential. She has talked about final threes with like Sarah and Debbie and stuff like that. Andrea, really good at challenges, obviously really smart at the game as well in the majority alliance. So I feel like both Sierra and Andrea would be like good people to vote out this time.
Yeah, I feel like there are very few people that are the wrong choice to vote out. Like, the only people I would say you shouldn't vote out would be like a Michaela, who's like a pretty easy goat, or like Troyzan, also a pretty easy goat. And like, other than those two and maybe Ty, I feel like everyone else is like a strategic or physical threat.
Yeah, like you want to keep those people you named around till the end because you know you can probably beat them, so they'll probably make it final three. And then everyone else, it's like you don't want them to go because they're an actual threat, so you need to take them out. And I think Michaela, like rounding out her whole sort of whole like narration this episode, she had the really good like we to me metaphor at tribal council. I was like, wow, this is really profound actually.
I'm not sure if it was profound so much as like one of those things that you say hoping it'll make sense and then it turns out really well. But like, I feel like it's one of those things where tends to like take one thing that a player says and then repeat it like several times. Like, there was a lot of talk about like the witch us last season, and like sometimes I wish Jeff Probst did not run the balls so far when like he's given an opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's sort of like the trust cluster thing last season, or even like how in season 31, everyone is like, the game is evolving. Like, yeah, I guess it sort of does get old, but I do feel like, I don't know, the whole me to we, like, it depends on who you talk to, what you're doing. Depends, like, if you feel safe or not, because you might feel safe in the we, but it turns out you were the me and everyone was just playing you really well.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next time, especially since like people have been talking about like flip-flopping and stuff like that, and I can't see the flip-flopping stopping. I did a rhyme.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not just going to be a pagonging of Brad and Troyzan. I feel like a big idol play has to come up in 2 episodes, probably. So not next week, but probably the week after that. Hopefully something real big happens because I feel like, I don't know, I don't see Brad or Troyzen going home next week. I hopefully like Brad and Troyzen can work with Ty again after the last week where they all voted for Ty in hopes of saving Sierra. Then Zeke goes home. So I definitely feel like if they're able to mend those bonds, they could probably get something to work. But I feel like next week it has to be Andrea going home.
Yeah, I feel like it's either Andrea or Michaela because, like you said, she did like a really good job of like wrapping up her whole story arc. And like once people's story arcs end, they tend to go home pretty quick. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I don't, yeah, fuck. I think 2 weeks we'll have a big idol play. Next week it'll probably be someone that is very good and should go home. I feel like the week after that it'd be the cluster fuck of shit going down at tribal council because we didn't really see anything like out of the ordinary for the preview for next week.
Yeah, I feel like this is like the calm before the storm. And then something crazy is going to happen at the final 6 because the legacy advantage has been like played up so much this season. And I feel like it's even more than just like, oh, Sarah gets a free vote or whatever, or a free immunity or whatever. Because, yeah. And then they also really haven't talked about the immunity idols at all recently. Like, Ty still has one, and Troyzan still has, or Ty still has 2, and Troyzan has 1, and they haven't been brought up at all. And that to me is a little worrisome, because like they're gonna have to get played eventually. Either that, or Ty's gonna pull a James and get voted out with 2 idols in his pocket.
That'd be funny. But I feel like definitely when Jeff starts talking about hidden immunity idols, like in tribal council, then you sort of know something's about to go down. It's really crazy. There's 8 people left and there's 2 weeks left. So are they gonna go into the finale with 7 people? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it does. It could just be like they do something like the 2 people with the most amount of votes, or double tribal surprise. You have to vote again. So
Yeah, because there are definitely too many people for the next 2 weeks to be voted out for the finale in 2 weeks. That is super crazy. Things are ending. I was rewatching the episode today, and then I was like, oh my god, I can't wait till they start announcing like the cast and like the cast photos and bios for next season, because it's always so much fun to do cast assessments, especially because we are doing oh, Alyssa, you typed it, now I lost my train of thought. It's yeah, because it's a new season with new people, because last season it was all returning players. I think it'll be really interesting to analyze new people.
yeah, and I think analyzing returning players is always interesting because there's that whole like web of contacts going on. But analyzing new players is interesting because we just have to go by like our first impression and by like what we can tell like from their cast bios and stuff. Like for Co Wrong, Michelle was like, "Oh yeah, Harry Potter is my hero," and we were like, "Oh, that girl's gonna get voted out," and then she like won the whole damn game.
Yeah, we were like, this girl's a crazy girl. Like, she needs to calm herself. Why is her like lover a fake character? I remember those are some good times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so as always, I guess we will see you guys next week. I will finally have a single room, so I will not have to be podcasting in the fucking ass basement anymore. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and I have finals for the next 2 weeks, so that's going to be interesting. But Survivor is my one priority. Not actually, guys. I promise I'm trying to do well in school. But then after that, we'll be on our summer hiatus. So we are starting to plan what videos we're going to do during the hiatus. And as during every hiatus, we're going to ask you guys what you want to see. So please leave your comments down below about what Survivor videos you'd like to see, because we already have some ideas, but there's no such thing as too many great ideas about Survivor. So,
that is very true. So leave your comments down below of video ideas you want to see. We will definitely see you guys next week, and then the week after that is the frickin' finale. So crazy. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, we love you all.
bye.